and welcome to Life Chats with Maggie and Bunny. I'm Bunny, and I'm here alone today because Maggie is away on vacation. So I'm going to be doing it solo this time for this week. And my topic today is going to be about the now moment. So this is something that is talked about a lot in a lot of different circles and a lot of different things. And it's kind of like an integral part of a lot of healing and a lot of the human experience. So knowing what the now moment is, what kind of things that I've learned about it, what kind of things I've thought about it, where it attaches to some of the teachings that I know, that sort of thing. That's what I'm going to share with you today. So first of all, the now moment is the present. So we do talk about, I mean, you can hear so many people talk about the past, doesn't exist except for in our memories, and the future is imagination, right? And so it's often been said that if somebody is depressed, it's actually because they are stuck in the past. They're looking at the past and they're comparing maybe what today is, what the now moment is, with something in the past, either in a way of saying that the past shouldn't have happened the way that it is, or that they're negatively judging maybe the present, the now moment from because they're comparing it to the past. So in that kind of way, those things are very much something that, you kind of don't want to get stuck in that past kind of thinking and maybe comparing your life to those moments, thinking about, maybe not being happy again, or, you're always going to be sad. Those things are future things, and those things give you anxiety. They give you worry. The thing about that is that most of us know that even though we will project our ego projects into the future, that is imagination, right? So I don't know about you, but I myself have had many occasion where I have thought about the future and had some anxiety, some worry, some overwhelm, thinking about things that were going to be happening in the future. Now, this could be something that's happening only hours away. It could be something that's happening months away, years away, any of those kind of things. And what it is that we project our imagination and our thoughts into what the future is going to look like, feel like, experience, what's going to happen, all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know about you, but I have probably 99.9% of the time that I have projected things into the future and thought about what it was going to be like, what it was going to look like, what kind of effects it had, what the future was even going to look like. It didn't look like that at all. Even this chat, for example. So when I decided that I was going to do a chat about today, I started to think about what it is that, what was I going to say? What was I going to talk about? I knew it was going to be on the now moment because that was something that kind of came to me when I said, what am I going to talk about? But I didn't know exactly where it was going to go and how it was going to go. And anytime that Maggie and I actually do these life chats, that's actually what happens. We don't actually have any set plan on exactly where it is that we're going to go. We generally will just one of us will have a topic that the other one is like, yeah, we can talk about that, and then we just start talking about it. And oftentimes, I can't tell you how many times we actually get off of we stop the recording and we look at each other and go, whoa, I didn't know that was going to go there. And that's even what's happening what's happening with me today. So it's not about planning. It's about knowing and trusting that in the now moment, I'm going to have come to me exactly what it is that I need to say. And so that is something that does happen. But had I been thinking, what is it that I'm going to say? What do I have to get right? All that kind of thing. So in the now moment is actually also the time for me where I check with myself. I check in with myself. I check in with my body in this now moment. Do I feel like doing something? Is it a heck yes, or is it a not a heck yes? If it's not an excited yes, then it's a no. And that's one thing that I have been implementing recently. I mean, probably in the last few years, but definitely for sure in the last 6 months or so, is definitely saying to myself, if this isn't a full on excited yes, then it's a no. It can change, of course, as we get closer to the time. Even when I make plans with people, a lot of times I'll say, okay, we can make plans, but it's people know with me that they're very open-ended plans. The one time that it usually is not open-ended is with clients, but generally, just like if a client was to say to me, hey, I'm not feeling it today, then I know that if I was to say to a client, hey, I'm not feeling it today, that would be okay as well. And whatever consequences or whatever things happen, that's not something that I'd have to worry about in that now moment. And so one thing in the like manifesting and all of those kind of things when they're talking about the law of attraction, talking about Dr. Joe Dispenza, you talk about Abraham Hicks, you're talking about Dolores Cannon, you're talking about Bashar, you're talking about a lot of people, definitely Abraham Hicks for sure, Neville Goddard, those kind of things, where they talk about, and even Dr. Joe Dispenza talk about like envisioning or visualizing your future and what it's going to look like, what you want it to look like. I remember a few years ago when I first started coming into the spiritual world and spiritual teaching, learning about manifestation and constantly them saying you had to visualize. And then for me at the time, I definitely believed that I had a block for visualization. So I would often say I have aphantasia. I can't see things. I can't see things in my mind's eye. I would say that stuff. So of course the universe was reflecting that back to me because since I believed it, it's going to show me more of it. So that was something that I had a hard time with at that time was just kind of like, well, how can I manifest if I am unable to see the future? Now with that, you're projecting your preferred outcome. So the things that you want or that you would like to see. There has actually been a shift that I have noticed within the last year or so, where actually you'll listen to these teachers, the same teachers who were talking about visualizing, who are actually talking about feeling. So this is something where I am good at, is the clairsentience and the claircognizance. So it's the clear feeling and the clear knowing. That's how I do communicate and get most of my intuitive messages, is actually through those things. Definitely clear knowing. So the idea popping into my head, a story popping into my head, a memory, any of those kind of things, a person, that kind of stuff, something that will remind me of something, and then I will share that story. And that's how I have my intuitive hits. And or even through songs that will also sometimes come up, song lyrics. So that's another thing as well. I'll get song lyrics, memories of that kind of in my head as well. So I have noticed that for manifestation, that the feeling part is actually quite important. They're actually saying that that may even be more important than visualizing, is feeling, putting yourself in that future state. In that future state, how will you feel when you're there? And getting yourself into that feeling state, because it is about tuning our little radio dial as we have our frequency into the frequency of the things that we desire, the things that we prefer. So from that, you can only do that though in the now moment. It's the same with healing. So when you have traumas, when you have things that happened to you in the past, it's not like you are physically going into the past. First of all, the past does not exist. But it's not like you're going anywhere. You're in the now moment. And what you can do is bring that story, bring that feeling through the story and through the belief into the now moment, where you then will process the feeling, doing a bunch of different things. And then you can actually change beliefs and do all that stuff. But you're going to do that from the now moment. You're going to do that from the now. Now, this was something in the last few months that I had always understood, that from the now moment, we would project our future, preferred future, our through feelings or through visualizations or whatever the case may be. I had not, however, considered I knew that the past would change because if we got into a different frequency, the past that we would have to have been different when we had healed those things. But what I didn't even realize was that we're actually are always creating the past from our now moment as well. What I mean by that is, how many times have you thought about a story or an event or something, an experience that had happened to you in the past? You had received a memory, you retrieved a memory, and you remembered it in a specific way. I just looked at a journal from 2020, and in that journal, I had actually talked about something about every time you take a memory out and look at it, it changes. When you tell the story, when you just replay it in your head, whatever the case may be. But when you take a memory out, you actually change it and put it back different. That was the trigger for me to go, huh, so that's how come you can heal things, because you can take a trauma, an experience, something that had happened to you, an event that had happened to you, for you, all of those kind of things, but something that had happened, you can take it into the now moment. You can kind of play with it, look at it differently, turn it, look at it all different perspectives, and you can actually heal it. Think of it, which is really healing it, is accepting it, looking at it through a different perspective or view, forgiveness, all of those kind of things that we do with our healing. That you can take that memory out, do all that stuff with it, and then when you put it back, it can be completely different. And that's how you do the healing. And so that is actually how the now moment is the only thing that exists. Because if you're able to manipulate or create or change or transform or transmute, all of the different words that we use, if you can do that with a past memory, a past event, something that you have brought with you into the now moment, that is something that you have access to. And when you change it, you're actually creating or recreating your past from the now moment. And that will help you create or get into the frequency of the future now moments. It is a concept that can be a little overwhelming for our human consciousness, because it does take into account a lot of different aspects. Now, I did want to say that one of the biggest times that I learned about the now moment was in a lot of the mindfulness. So mindfulness things, being mindful, as John Shearer would say, pause, be mindful, connect, or be mindful, pause, connect, whichever way it is that that you want to do it. It's about stopping yourself, stopping your thoughts and being like, hey, hang on a second, being mindful. So going, okay, what am I in the now moment right now? Am I in the now? That's pretty much all you have to do to be mindful, is am I in the now moment? Because oftentimes you will find that in the now moment, you are safe, you are secure, there is nothing that's happening to you in that now moment. If there is something happening to you, you won't have time to pause and think. Your body will go into action, because that is what your ego is there for, is to protect you from the things that may harm you, and you know, cause your life to end. So those, you wouldn't be able to stop that thing and that thought. Whenever you're in something that happens, it's like, oh, it happened it was slow motion, but also it happened like super quickly. And I didn't even have time to react. My body was moving before my mind even realized that there was a danger. That's exactly what the ego is there for. The ego is to do those things, to protect yourself. The thing about it is that we no longer have a saber-toothed tiger that we have to worry about. And very often, we are not in a physical life ending scenario. Very, very often. Most of us do not deal with that day to day. Most of us are quite safe physically. And some of us, for our entire life, we've never gotten into anything that is physical issue or something like safety, a physical safety thing, a concern. So that is something that we haven't really needed. But where we do get hurt, we get hurt emotionally, mentally, verbally, those kind of things. And so that's where our ego has stepped in now, because it's not really something that is in the now moment. Very often we will be hurt by somebody and then carry on that story, stay in that reel, as Jenna Lemire would say, the REEL instead of the REAL. REAL is the now moment. The reels are the things up in the mind. So that's either in the past or in the future, where you're not in your real moment. You're not in the now moment. I have heard about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. That is something that I think is pretty standard, something that I've heard in spiritual circles as well as traditional conventional counseling and therapy sessions. And that is when you're in a kind of a spin, when you're either thinking about, thoughts from the past, or this works very much more with anxiety and with the future projections, is to bring yourself to the now moment. Of course, you're going to continue to breathe, take those big breaths in and out. There's a lot of different things that you can do as well. But I find the most effective thing for me is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So find 5 things that you can see. So just get yourself, it's pretty easy to remember, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 5 things that you can see, name them. Then 4 things you can touch. So, you can touch your shirt, you can touch your face, you can, like, so many there's so many different, your phone, any different things. So 4 things you can touch. Then 3 things that you can hear. So 3 things that you can hear. So a lot of times that one you might have to go a little bit hunting for, especially if you're in a place that's kind of quiet. But I think that you would be able to perhaps hear the weather outside, the wind. You could probably hear, your furnace going, or your air conditioning, a fan, a dog, a cat, your breathing, your breath, your swallowing, any of those kind of things as well. Some people can hear their heart beating, all of that. Then for 2 and 1, the 2 and 1, you can interchange them, but it's whatever is going to be easier for you to find. And so those would be for taste and smell. So you can do 2 things that you can smell and 1 thing that you can taste, or you can switch that up. 2 things that you can taste and 1 thing you can smell. And then that way, that brings you back into the now moment. You can sit calmly. You may need to sit in a pause for a little while. You may need to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 a few times, depending on what is happening. But you can do that. You can calm yourself down. This is especially good to do if, like I said, it's not something that's an immediate trigger. There isn't somebody in front of you that is like attacking you in any way. There's nothing that you have to respond to. You're just, sitting in your room and you happen to be thinking, or you're sitting somewhere by yourself and you happen to be thinking about something that has continued to think and kind of hijacked your thoughts for a moment, where you feel like the train has run away and you don't have any control of this. This is a good way for you to bring that back. So that's pretty much it that I have for the now moment today. So stay in the now moment as often as you can. Healing happens from there. Life is lived from there. It's where we create both the past and the future from there. The now moment is our moment. This is where we are. This is what we're doing. And I look forward to having more now moments with you. Bye for today.